Hi everyone, welcome to Thursday. I can't remember what day we started this on. Was it Saturday? Did we start it on a Saturday? Yes. Yeah. So we're on day 6. Day 6, can't even count. We're on day 6, and I think I told Georgia that it would take about a week. Well, we'll see. Might take a day longer than that, but anyway. I thought you might be interested to see this, which is what I've been faffing around with this morning. I wanted to, one of the options that I gave you in the poll, which is on my Miss Paintalot page, please, if you could vote, that would be excellent. One of the options was an art journal. Excuse me. Which is something different. It's something really interesting. It's something that, you haven't got to hold your brush in the right way, blah, blah, nothing. Whatever you fancy can go in that art journal. And so I was just having a bit of mess around this morning to see what I could do. And in amongst my fabrics, actually most of my goodies are fabrics because my degree was in textile art. So I've got loads of little bits of gorgeousness that I've kept because I can't bear to use them. So however, I went through them all this morning and trying to decide what colour I was going to do, and I thought it would be turquoise and orange because that's my usual go-to colours. Hi Sharon, you're sharp off the mark. You are. So I sorted through, and I thought, no, I want to keep the blue and turquoise for doing a live with, because it's hard to go wrong with those colours. They're so lovely. So I thought, well, I've got a bit of purple and gold here, different bits. I'll do purple and gold. And then I thought, I wanted to put a face in it, definitely. And I thought, well, purple and gold, what's that suggesting to me? And it suggested to me, actually, a gypsy lady. But I looked through the pictures, for reference pictures. And there's nothing really that drew my attention that's definitely said gypsy lady. So that by then I was swayed over onto Indian ladies. And I found her. So she's going over here. She's got a sort of veil on here that's very ornate. And I'm going to paint her in with Inktense crayons.
Susan says hi.
Hi Susan, thanks for joining me. And I made this background out of inks. The little bottles have got a pipette type top. So I put the ink over it. Then I sprinkled sea salt over it, let it dry, and the sea salt sucks up the dye, so you get these nice darker areas. And then I put a bit of bubble wrap here and there, just for a bit of interest. But Mr. Fixit was out shopping today, and I was in charge getting lunch ready. And when we're doing a live in the afternoon, we tend to have a bigger lunch, so as when it's all over, we just have a sandwich or something. So I put the sausages on. Then I came back through here and I started painting. This one I forgot all about sausages. They just didn't register. So we ate what we could out of them. The dog's done rather well. So anyway, I just thought you might like to see what else I've got in the pipeline. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, or art journals, or 3D, not 3D, that's Paula's domain, mixed media, that's what I'm trying to say, then please vote for B on the poll. You can vote for as many as you like. You can vote for all of them or none of them. But that's the sort of thing that you could expect if B was selected. Right, anyway, back to Crummock Water. Is it Crummock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to Crummock Water. So today we have the choice of actually putting this in or putting the sky in. My choice for the day is to put the vegetation in around the edge, put this big tree in situ. That might be all we get done today. If not, I'm going to start on here and the heather and the longer grass, blah, blah.
Susan says she loves that she didn't know what an art journal was. Well, she's not alone in that.
Mr. Fixit never heard of it either. I said, I'm going to put this as a option on the poll. Nobody's heard of it. I haven't heard of it. Nobody's heard of that. And I said, they have. They absolutely have. No, no way. He wasn't having it. But the difference between that I'm doing there and actual art journaling is if you do an art journal, you should really have little pockets with little bits of paper in or leave a blank space on your page. Because the idea is somebody buys your art journal or you made it for yourself and they have room to write every day. You know, today we went to see whatever, oh, happy birthday to me, whatever it is, but you have to leave them room to write something on every page. Otherwise, it's just a book of mixed media pictures. I hope I've explained that properly. Did I explain that all right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, if people choose option B,
Yeah.
they'll explain more.
They'll find out. Right.
Lisa Owning says she loves the sky.
Hi, Elisa. I'm not familiar with your name, I don't think. Oh, you must have fixed it.
I don't remember reading it out before.
No, I don't.
So welcome.
Well, very welcome, Lisa. Very, very welcome. Right, so we're going to do all this vegetation here, the stuff that's taller than grass, let's say, is going to get a coat of paint today. So it kind of starts here, wiggles its way down the side of there, along the side of the water itself, right till it bumps into this big, humongous tree. And I think first order of the day probably is getting some blocking in on this tree because it's going to probably need quite a few coats of highlights, lowlights. You know the story by now. You know it only too well. Right, so I'm just going to use this ARA sap green. As we discovered yesterday, and I have discovered previously, it's a very, very transparent green. But that's all right, it'll give us a start. And I'm going to use my, is it 1/2 inch or 3/8? 1/2 inch angle brush. You can see there it's cut to the side. Not because I particularly need to do any angles on anything, it just feels familiar to me. So hopefully it'll be all right. Just going to prop this up if I can. Put that behind it. Yeah, there we go. So, actually that might be a bit too big. Going down to my 1/4 inch, my old friend. And these actually have come out quite nicely. We just really need to sort of just reinforce them a bit. They don't need a whole lot. They turned out okay. But let's go into the sap green. And they start about where we started them actually. We weren't far off. I think if I can get some mid-tone down on here, the lighter that we put on yesterday will show through, and then I'll just have to go back and put some darker on it. Because you know the score by now pretty much. Almost everything that we paint has 3 shades to it. They've got the mid-tone one, the sort of main one, if you like. And they have a darker version of that and a lighter version. The darker version creates the shadows, the lighter version creates the highlights, and most everything that you see around you will have those 3 things present. I've started lecturing already. It's straight in, off the bat. What I want to do is not make these all the same height. They are a little bit in the picture, but I just, it's our picture, we do what we like. I just want to make some taller, some sort of rounder, slightly different shapes. They're probably all the same sort of bush. They're probably something, I don't know, hawthorn or something like that. So I'm not being terribly particular here, but I do want to get some in. If you can see on that bit there, I'm not sure if you can see it, because we've got a darker bit, and it looks now like it's receding. Now we've put something, a lighter green over it, so it pushes the dark back. And that's true of anything. The dark will always recede. The light will always come forward. Have you heard enough for today, folks? Do you just think, oh, shut up and get on painting? I'm just going to put some highlights into this darker area that I was just talking about. And I'm really just using the toe of this angle shader, the toe being the most sticky out bit. If you sort of look at it like a foot, your big toe is there, and that's what I'm using to just do some mark making on these trees. We're doing all right so far. The hand hasn't had to come out. Karen Smith, if you are watching, I really hope you're a lot better today. It's thoroughly miserable when you're feeling poorly, I know. But, you know, you manned up, you watched the video. What can I say? Well done. We're just really after texture at this stage. Oh my goodness, the hand's coming out. I think you might just be getting it ready.
Just to say hello.
Oh, you're just going to say hello. Hello, Handy. Hello. Some people are just not right. You know, you've just got to make the best of it, really. So this is not complicated or difficult or anything. It's literally using one colour to just dab on. This is a similar sort of motion to when you're dabbing flowers onto somewhere, just using the toe of your brush. It's terribly easy to get lost in this picture. Can't see where things are supposed to be. What a paint on there. I've got actual texture, which kind of isn't what I was aiming for. Okay, so that one's that one. So there's a load of dark in here and some light up around here. So in order to split these trees up, we're going to have to come back with some dark green. So go around the top there. But then it falls into quite dark. That's a nice dark area at its feet. So this just looks all the same, very uninteresting. It's when we come to put the highlights and the shadows in that it will kind of, hopefully come to life. I'm just going slightly over the bit that we blocked in last night, over the water. But actually this is so transparent, you can't actually see. I need to boost them up, give them a good boost. As you can see on my palette today, I have every single green that I own, apart from phthalo green, and that is not going in here, because I can't be doing with that colour. And it's naughty, you know, it tints everything way too much for my liking. So this bit here is a sort of differenty colour, as is this bit here, and then it goes into very dark there where the big tree comes out. So I'm just going to mix up, oh, I forgot about my olive green, that should have been on there as well. I'm just going to mix up a bit of olive green, maybe a little touch of raw umber. Doesn't take much setting up now for our lives, because it's the same colours every single day. I'm just going to take a bit of that, tiny bit of that raw umber. That's a little bit too dark for what we want. It's quite a light coloured brush. Yeah, let's try that for our mid-tone, I think. And this is quite spiky, but we might need to come back later on and sort of do that, because I've got to put the darks in and everything for the trees around it. And of course it will be darker at the bottom. That's the natural way of trees and stuff. So I'm kind of putting this in the sure and certain knowledge that I will have to be back to it once I've put everything else in. I'll just get that in. That gives us some idea of what's going on at that particular point. And the bit behind it on the well, it looks like it's on the water side. It's actually not. It's up a little way. But that one is also, it's a sort of olivey green, but it's got a bit greener green. So just add some of that sap green to it. And this goes down there. It's behind this one that we've just put in, which I know I will have to come back to. All of them got to come back to. Right, that might not show up very well because it's actually not showing up very well here, but I'll leave it and then I can alter the lights and darks accordingly. Right, into the darks, the dark sides. So my darkest greens are this one, which is Hooker's Green, as I said yesterday, and this Liquitex Hooker's Green Deep Hue. And the Deep Hue is really deep. It's, you know, in the right circumstance, you'd think that was black. Very, very dark. If it's too dark for you, either mix it through with yellow or white. White, if you add white to green, it tends to deaden it somehow. You're almost better off using yellow to lighten it up, would be my advice. Right, so back to the 1/4 inch angle shader again. I'm guessing these are dry. Oh, maybe not. Just give them a quick blast. Lovely. I was just actually, when I was doing that, looking at this large tree, and actually the only branch or stem or whatever you call them, trunk, that we can see is this one that's here. That is the only one. I can see no other supporting branches, stem or anything. So that kind of makes our job easy, really. We don't have to draw the skeleton of the tree first. All we need to remember to put in is this branch. So that shouldn't hinder us in our progress. Right, so let's use a little bit of the deepest one, a little bit of the not so deep Hooker's Green. We still get a nice dark colour, but it's green, you know, as opposed to reading as black, really. So where are our little trees here? So always in at the bottom, it's always dark at the bottom of trees. This is where our light's coming from, in here, so this side is the dark side. And it's here that you can begin to shape your trees. Taller, smaller, whatever. Don't go in with too dark too much of a line around the bottom. I mean, they are dark. It is dark, but I don't sort of want to box them in. It's just a little tree here. Put more shadows on some and less on others. It's quite a tall tree in here, actually. It looks like it's a bit more coniferous. That's the word, isn't it? Coniferous. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or evergreen.
Oh, right, okay. Evergreen. Looks a bit more like a Bob Ross tree. Sort of like that. I bet you didn't see that because I was off screen. Like that.
Happy little tree.
Yeah, he does tall, thin ones, doesn't he, like that?
Yeah.
And then he draws it and he says, oh, it's such a happy little tree. What does he need? Oh, he needs his friend. So he always puts the other one in, doesn't he?
Yeah, it always puts the tree by the side of it.
If you guys are too young to remember Bob Ross, and I suspect a lot of you are, go to YouTube and just watch a Bob Ross video. He paints in oils, but don't let that put you off. I mean, the man was a god, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was just incredible. And he was in the RAF as well.
Well, American Air Force,
Yes. Yes. Well, you don't know, but yeah, I think so.
USAF.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see now that because we're adding the darks, the shadows, that we're beginning to get tree-like looking objects. I don't know that you can see that. I think half the time talking to myself here. So I hope that you all saw Susan, no, not Susan, Cheryl's, not even Cheryl, Sharon. Let's start that again. I hope that all of you have seen Sharon's wonderful rendition of this. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, sometimes people show you bits of work and you think, oh, you're going to need a bit of time to practice this really before you can do your first masterpiece. And Sharon, it's like she's been on some sort of accelerated walkway to really goodness. She's this piece that she's produced is lovely, remarkably gorgeous.
Well, has joined us and says, wow, that's come on.
Oh, well, you've been missing, Mrs. That's the thing. I'll just say this for everybody else who wishes this. We were all really sorry at 1 o'clock that Paint and a Pint on Paula's channel didn't go out. I think it was some horrible technical glitch. I haven't spoken to her. I thought I'd leave her alone. If she wants me, she knows where I am. But if it had happened to me, I'd have been crying in the corner. She, for some reason, unknown to her, they couldn't get the video up. But it will be on tomorrow, Friday. Friday the what?
9th.
Friday the 9th of August at 1 o'clock on Fairy Chic Emporium. It will be Paint and a Pint, and she's doing the second part of that fantastic mermaid. So you heard it here. Spread it around your chums. Get everybody that would normally be watching and some extras if you can, and support Paula, because it's horrible when things like that go wrong. Talking about supporting people, if you'd like to support me, and you need quite a few people to support me, if I'm honest, then if you feel that you want to share this, that'd be brilliant. Really, makes a huge difference. Gets me known in places where I otherwise wouldn't be known. So, it's not a command. Don't, thou shalt share. But if you think of somebody that you think might like to see it, or a group that you think it would fit in, it would be really good if you could share it, please. Please. So just putting these shadows into these trees. This one's quite a big one. And it's coming nearer to our site now, closer to us. I'm going to have to make some more of that up. We used it up. So for those of you just joining, this is Hooker's Green and Hooker's Green Deep Hue. I'm just reneging on using the Hooker's Green Deep Hue on its own because it just reads too black. So I've mixed it with a little of the Hooker's green, so it's still very dark, but it is green. So because it's coming closer to us, we can see a little bit more detail. You know, we can see that that's got branches. When you look on your reference picture, you'll see it's got branches extending above the sort of overall shape of the tree. And for those of you that missed it earlier as well, I was having a bit of a rant, as I do. Pretty much when you're painting, you need 3 colours, let's call them. You need the one that you're doing, your main colour, you're blocking out in colour, your main colour of that thing. Then you need a deeper hue of that for the shadows, and you need a lighter one for the highlights. You don't necessarily need to have all 3 paints, and that would be a bit expensive. So you put your mid-tone out and you add an appropriate colour to it to lighten it. If it's green, I would advocate that you use yellow, because once you put white through green, it goes a bit muddy. And if you want to darken your green, unless you've got this dark hue Hooker's green, put something a darker green through it and you'll end up with a darker green. If all else absolutely fails, put the tiniest bit of black in it. Full of it today, full. So we're just putting the shadows in here, and this hasn't caught, this side has caught the sun, but even so, some of the branches inside the tree are still casting shadows down into the tree. So it still does need a little bit of dark in there. Right, this one here is really it's quite branchy. So I'll just make it so it doesn't look even on the top. We could fill a whole new dictionary up, couldn't we, with painty sort of words. What did we have yesterday? Dibby Dabby and Pokey Pokey or something. I can't remember now, and it's so apt. So I'm just making that have some detail as it goes out over the water there. And it's very dark down into this lighter bush. But I still am going to leave that little bit of light there, because for some reason that bit is catching your eye. Right, so I'm going to have to do something about this lighter business here, lighter bush. So I'm adding some green into that olive green mixture that we had. Let's see if I feel like it isn't the right thing. No, it isn't.
I need of light again today, is it? It's a bit dark.
Well, it's blinking, what is it, 4:30 in the afternoon, and yeah, you just about need your lights on. I mean, it's ridiculous. So is anybody to complain to, I would. But there kind of isn't. Oh my God, if you could see what was going on, this is like ridiculous. Is that better? I think it's a whole lot better. I think that's loads better. But you can't stand there holding that all day. And don't break it. Mr. Fix has just come wandering through, as he's prone to do, with a great big 24 by 20 inch mirror. But, you know, I think it works. So I can't get too excited, can I? And expansive, because I'll knock it over. Does that look better to anybody? Or worse? I don't know. So what colour have we got here and what are we supposed to be doing?
Well, I could put the artificial light on. But...
yeah, it tends to flare it up. I don't like it much. So I'm going to do this one that's in the back. And it's kind of... this one is not the one in the back. Pay no attention to me today. I'm being very silly. This is the one that's in the back. That's a similar colour but slightly more green. This is the one in the front. I'm not talking to you like that, people. I'm talking to me because this is having this silliness. So I'll put this colour in, and then I need to go in with a slightly different colour. Looks like a massive fern or something to me, I don't know. I need to put some sort of, well, another colour actually would be good. Has nobody commented on your unbelievable mirror?
No, I think they're all falling asleep.
All right. Fair dues, isn't it?
Day 6 fatigue, I think.
Right, so I want to lighten this up a little bit. That's very near the mirror. So I'm going to add some of this green gold, green gold, into it, and see if I can get a nice. I'm going to have to wash my brush off first, I think. I need some in that, and then I need some brown, some browniness. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to mix that through there. This hopefully will be a nice lighter, but it's still need it lighter than that. I've still got some green gold there that I haven't mixed through, so I'll give that a go. That's it. It's just catching it on this side, as you'd expect. Not so much over here, although it is quite high, so you're getting just little flashes of it, of this bright over there. It's fine. Then it needs some brown. Quite a light brown actually is what's required. So I'll just take a little bit of my raw umber, bit of white, a little bit whiter than that. That's fine. That's good. Still had some green in my brush there, but I'm not overly fussed. In fact, I'm quite pleased, really. So this just sort of comes up. It's weird. Not sure what it is. It was there. So we'll paint it. Just need a proper brown in that now. Here it is. This is Studio Lasau, and it is brown oxide light. Let's just try and see if that'll do the trick. I think it will. I think that's the exact colour that I'm looking for, actually. So that's handy. So let's just list along some of these. Not all of them. And then when it gets here, it goes, there's a sort of funny, fluffy, ferny type thing going on. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of that yellow through that brown, and it should give me quite an orangey colour, I think, which is pretty much what I'm looking for. More yellow, bit more yellow, yeah, I'm okay with that. And that sort of sits onto there. Like everything, it need highlights and lowlights, but I'll just get that locked in at the minute. There are other parts of this hillside that have this coloration as well, but we're not dealing with it just quite yet. And this has got that sort of colour in as well, actually. And there are sort of, well, I've got another row of trees, people. Come on. There's another row of trees that comes up here. Huh, you could have told me. Anyway, that's fine. There's some lighter little trees in the background there. Right, so let's establish where these trees are going then. Well, let's finish these ones off first. Might decide I don't need them yet. So let's go for a lighter colour. We'll try this sap green, and I'm going to mix a little bit of green gold through it. My green gold's nearly finished. It's really one of my most favourite colours. I love those olivey greeny chartreusey type colours. I love those, and I love teals and turquoises and purple. Right, so it is literally just putting a few little bits of too much paint on my brush there, of highlights onto these trees. And don't forget to pull over to the dark side for just a couple of little bits. Just make them a bit more credible. So for these taller ones, it's pretty much all on one side. The light. Pink paper is, or board or canvas, whatever it is standing up well to this. I can still see it there. So that's very dark down there. But it does have some highlights on, and actually it's got highlights of a different colour as well, so I'm just going to dry that and come back with a darker colour for highlights as well. Okay, so I'm literally just going to take a little bit of that mixture that we've got, mix a little bit of sap green, not sap green, ochre's green, through it, just so it's darker than the shadows, but not as dark as the darks, because it's just got a couple of different colours of shadows in that one, of highlights, which are needed to bring it to life. Fair enough. Right, so what's going on here? That must be that one. So it's, yeah, back to the old light that we had. This is starting to get more of it in the sunshine, because the sunshine's coming there, so it's just going to catch these ones, probably more on the top than the straightforward side. So start by introducing a bit of those highlights down onto the other side as well, and leave them higher up. Right, so we're into that one, which is the biggish one, and I'm going to put the darker version of the, excuse me, I've got to have a drink, sorry. I'm going to lose my voice, how awful would that be? can't remember what I was saying. I'm going to use the darker version of the highlights first on this tree because it's very dark tree. So it's got quite a few of these darker highlights nearer the top of the tree. Still leaving some dark in it. It's quite a dark tree. It goes off into being really quite dark down the bottom. Okay, so now we'll go over that with a lighter highlight. Actually, you can see looking back on it now as they're drying that they really probably could do with another coat of lighter highlights, which I will do, but you don't need to see me doing them. You know, you watch me do this, so I'll do that off camera before I clean the brushes out tonight. I'll do that. So you can see it's now got two different colours of highlights on, and it looks better for it. Looks more like a tree. Just going to put some dark. That dark mixture has now dried up, so I'll just mix some more. And this is it's just beginning to lose its dark appeal. Too many highlights, not a good thing. That's fine.
So it's looking great. Sorry, you're going to have to watch this one later.
Carol or Karen?
Karen.
Karen, well, I hope you're feeling better, my love. Hope you managed to eat something. I'll see you soon. Right, this one then. Let's go in with the darks. See if we can get the dark down at the roots of this. As I say, they're always dark at the bottom. Everything. So don't paint over what you've already put. Well, don't paint over all of what you've already put in. That's looking a bit more healthy, like it might survive in the world. I'm just going to grab this dark mixture that we've got, just reinforce that dark bit at the bottom. Right, okay, so now we've got to deal with this bit, which is, it's just quite light, actually. So I'm thinking maybe yellow, quite a bit of olive and a bit of yellow. That's what I'm thinking. Olive, yellow. Yeah, that works. Too much paint on my brush. So you can see that is a different. It's got too much texture on there. So now I need a darker version of this for shadow. Just need to push that in. It's fine, I think. Happy with that. Right, okay. As I say, I'm pretty sure that all of those need another going over with the with a really light highlighter, because as you know, acrylics dye back, and they've all had highlighter on them, but it's really dyed back. So I'm quite happy with that, and I think it's time to start the large tree. Right, then, I'm just going to tilt this slightly. So we need a bit of an idea of where we're going. So, is there a pastel pencil? Yeah, one of those dirt ones. I've got a green. How good is that? I wrapped these up because I didn't want them going all over the floor. Because with pastel pencils in particular, the leg breaks and then you can't sharpen them or anything. Right, so this tree starts sort of here. It comes down to about here. And then it's just, this is tree. This is all tree up here. So just starts just below the this peak that we put in, and it comes out a little bit. And it's fairly straight actually down there. Looks a bit unnatural, to be honest, but that's kind of what it is. So we'll work with that. The reason I'm using pastel pencils, if anyone's interested, is never use graphite on your canvas. Two things. It's really shiny and nothing will stick to it. Therefore, you'll always see it. It'll be there forever and a day. And the other thing is, it kind of has such a point on it that it flattens your canvas, it bruises your canvas where it is. And so you come to make some details or whatever, and you can't because the canvas is going too far, like a little valley where the pencil's been. So if you've got a pastel pencil to hand, they are brilliant. When you come to paint over them, they'll melt into whatever you're doing. That's why I was pleased to see a green. If it had been white or something, then I might have had a problem because it'll go white where the pastel pencil is. It'll absorb it. So right, that's that. That's that lesson done with. Right, so let's put some dark in at the bottom, eh? So I'm just going to mix up some of this mixture that we had because mine's dried. Hookers, the two Hookers greens, deeper than normal. Maybe a little bit darker than that. Still want it to read green, but very dark. This will be very much a blocking out job today. There are other dark bits in it, which I think it's perhaps prudent to put those in now that we've got some dark on the go. So you can't really catch all the bits that the tree has. You just need to sort of give it a flavour of treeness. Let it feel a bit treeified. And as I was saying one of the days, trees always have sky holes in them. No matter how much in full leaf they are, they always have voids where you can see right through the tree to the sky. So remember that when you're painting trees. It's very important if you want them to look right. Well, it's a bit more dark down the bottom here. I'm putting on a slightly thinner coat. In fact, I'm just going to add a little bit more of the other Hooker's green to that. This is pretty much all covered. It's not, in actual fact, there will still be holes through it, but what we are seeing behind it is this greenery. So we're looking, but through the holes we just see green, so they don't register as being sky holes. When you get to up here and there's water and a light area behind it, you can see through it, and you can see that you can see through it. So this is pretty much blocking in. Well, it's not, like I said before, it's not pretty much, it is. We're blocking in. I'm just going over that dark, very dark region with this paint we've now mixed, which is slightly lighter. I'm going to add some more Hooker's Green to that mix, just give it a bit of a spritz. It's getting a bit dry. And another little bit, we'll bump it up a couple of notches. Once again, the telling thing on this will be the highlights and the shadows. So this is in front of everything else that we've seen, that we've got here. So carry on painting over whatever's there. You can leave sky holes if you want to, or you can paint them in afterwards. I'm going to try and leave some sky holes because I haven't got any more of that colour that I mixed for the water. So it's going to be awkward for me. So I'm going to try and leave some sky holes, but not there because that's there's still greenery behind there. So we need to sort of build it up in the variety of greens step by step, really. Different shades, all pretty much all the same, Hooker's Green and the Hooker's Green Deep Hue. But we're beginning to get shades here because we're mixing it slightly differently. And I am using my 1/2 inch angle shader for this. And it has got bits randomly sticking out of it, which need to go in. You need to be patient. What you put in, you get out, so they say. So if you put loads of time and effort and energy into it, you'll get a better result. And that's true of most things in life, to be fair. Nearly out of this Hooker's Green. Just going to go into the sap green now for a bit of a change. They're all greens and they're all very similar actually, all much of a muchness. It's not that much lighter. So I'm leaving my sky holes and I'm dabbing this on, remembering that the edge has got bits sticking out of it, branches in fact. Right, okay, shape of this tree is really weird, but that's the shape it is. I'm just going to give that a quick dry. Could you get me a quite large filbert, please? Lovely, thank you. Actually, is there a more harder one? Yeah, maybe. It's a no sort of hog's hair or something like that.
Possibly over there, I can't see one in green.
Alright, okay. No, I'll have a brown hand. Thank you. Right, so I was just asking Mr. Fix It there to get me a filbert. Filbert is a brush. This is a Zen Art one. That it's just like a straight across the top, and then somebody's just cut off around the corners, and it's quite handy for lots of things. Really, I was using the little one yesterday. You might remember. Just handy for certain things. I'm going to put some more of that green gold out, but I'm going to mix it through. Got to dampen my brush. It's very, very dry. I'm going to pick some of that out. Right, I'll keep it. Might need that. I really want to get this done before we go today, and then we can come back tomorrow with a fighting chance of getting somewhere. So the filbert leaves really nice, sort of tree-shaped, interesting shapes. You can use it on its end like this, on the chisel end, or you can just tap it. And when I say tap it, I really, really mean it just kissing it. But if you can get the hang of it, it does really assist in the tree making process. As you can, I hope you can see those marks. Maybe not. I forgot what I mixed now. Honestly, it's ridiculous. A bit of that and a bit of that. So let's give that a try. So really, really, really gently, and try and get those sort of, the way that trees grow on the end of a branch are sort of rounded. Try and get that sort of shape into your tree if you can. As you know, this is the first lot of highlights, so there's loads more work to go on with this. But it does really help giving that. And because we've blocked it in, it's accepting this really, really well. You can see places where I've missed out. It does make beautiful marks for trees. As we come near the bottom, we don't need so many highlights. Or around here actually. So leave it, unless it looks not right. Just gently tapping into that dark. No, I think that's all right. I'm going to leave it. I think that's okay. So let me show you what sort of mark it makes. If you just press it down like that.
Can't see that.
Oh dear. Hang on then. A bit of paper would be good. Right, so I'm going to load some paint onto this brush and show you the marks that it makes. Just pressing it straight down, that's what you get. You can use it like that. Use the chisel end, you get a line, thicker line if you use more, involve more of the chisel. Or if you're doing what I'm doing with this tree, it really is hold it further down the brush than the ferrule, and we're just doing that. So you can see how it would make a very decent tree. Can you see that, guys? So those are the marks that I'm making now on top of this dark that we had in, which we're just beginning to think about as being a tree rather than a kind of green blob. I've been on an hour. What am I going to do? Pull it back? That way? This way? That way? That way?
That's it. You're back on.
It's not easy being me. It's just not. I'm just going to say that. Put that out there. Right, so I've got a lot of green on my brush, mid green, and I'm going now into the green gold, the fluid acrylic. But green gold is a colour that Golden carries in every range that they do, including the heavy bodied. I love it. It's just gorgeous. So much so I'm going to have to order some more because that's getting pretty nearly empty. So this should be much lighter, and it is, but don't forget it'll dry back. So you might not be as finished with this as you think you are. So I'm just making some happy little branches here. And I'm trying to make them into these sort of mounds that you get with shadows behind it. So leave enough room for the shadows. They're as if not more important than this. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. We've left some space for some shadows. When this dyes back, this coat, it'll become another shadow colour, despite the fact it's bright green actually on the palette. You know, it's yellow almost. That will dry back. So I'm going to give that a good chance to, my sky hole there's a little on the large side. I'm going to give that a good chance to dry back. I might leave it to do tomorrow, or I might actually just crack on with it and get it done, because you've seen me do that. You know the stroke I'm referring to with the filbert. So I'm just going to mix something up that's much lighter. And I wouldn't be surprised if it would take a lighter one again. That big commission piece I did with all the birds on it, that had a tree on it for the barn owl to sit in. And how many coats of highlight did that tree have? Every time we, did it, I'd say to Mr. Fix-It, that's it this time, really got it this time. Any degree, yeah, that is, you can't go any lighter. It's going to start looking like a clown tree. And it died back. This is the colour, my lightest green. It's the lightest green I've got. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't mix up lighter colours by adding yellow or white to an existing green that I've got. So I'll deal with that before I see you again. And I shall see you tomorrow, Friday, 4 o'clock. Who doesn't want to be here and watch me paint trees? But we have got this rather juicy proposition here of the heather and the... I'm so looking forward to that bit. Okay, guys, I can't thank you enough once again for joining me. You're really, really good people. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.